Hi, me. Just a quick note before we start the video. Please remember to like and subscribe as it helps me make more videos like this. Other than that, let's get into it. Hi, D-Man here. If you know me, then you know I live in England, one of the most disgusting, desolate places on Earth. A place where the sun shows up less than your absent father. And the people complain about literally anything, but would rather go to the pub at midday than actually do something about it. So one day, while eating some beans on toast and watching some classical British television, I decided I'd had enough. So I called up the airport and set up an exotic holiday. No, not that kind of exotic. I mean this kind of exotic. So I packed my bags, 3 cans of spaghetti, a 1040 pack of Yorkshire tea, and Dan TDM's book. I then hopped into my 1999 Toyota Yaris and set off towards my new adventure. I reached Heathrow and made my way through customs before boarding my flight. I was sat next to an overweight scouser named Clive, who took up both armrests, leaving me with 0 room. Oh well, I guess I'll just watch some Family Guy clips while I'm here. Eventually, the plane landed at its destination. I had arrived in Ukraine. I met with my tour guide, Igor, and I got into his luxury van. Without further ado, we set off towards the big city. Bloody hell, it's raining cats and dogs, isn't it, Igor? Well, you slow it down, won't you, Igor? How long's left, anyway? Nice, found a penny under the chair. Let's see, oh, 50p, hang on, what the fuck was that? Oh, fuck my head. Oh, God, where am I? I found myself in a dingy bunker where I met Sidovich, a local trader who gave me a new job as a photographer. The only thing was that the camera he gave me was a bit odd looking. I don't know, maybe it was a new model or something. He also gave me this cool PDA to keep in touch with him. And then, oh, fuck! I was also informed that, unfortunately, Igor didn't make it. Sidorovich told me to go talk to his mate for a mission. Eventually, I made my way out of the bunker and into the surface world. Oh wait, wrong game. Oh right, we're out of the bunker. Right outside the bunker is Rookie Village. Small encampment for stalkers to just kind of hang around and be safe. Talked to a couple of the locals and explored town a bit before going to meet with the guy I was told to meet. His name is Wolf. Wolf says he'll help me, but only if I help him first. You see, there's a scout of his that recently went missing. He expects that they're probably captured by some bandits, and I gotta go help save him.
Guys, I'm sending someone your way, so wing it. You may attack if necessary. Over.
Alright, Wolf, send him in. As long as he stays out of the way. Out.
I set off as soon as possible, determined to go help the stalkers.
Men, Wolf here sent us some support along with the order to attack. Time to move on and be heroes.
Right, about we go. Finally, we'd rallied the men and got ready to make our move. Now, this was my first taste of combat, and it really gave me a feel for what it's like. Like the world of Stalker, the combat is extremely gritty and very difficult. Quickly to keep in cover and plan my shots. Stalker's combat, especially for the time, is very realistic and, well, if you get the hang of it, extremely fun. Sure, you'll die in like 3 hits, but that only adds to the fun and the challenge of the game. But anyway, after dealing with the enemies and saving Nimble, we head back to Sid. Now, Sid's glad that we saved him, and he's also glad that we proved ourselves, but he's also got another mission for us. Alright, Sid, what you got for me next? I'll return to Sid to see what he has for me.
Listen, Marked One, I've done some thinking, and here's what I'd like to offer. Generally speaking, what you really need is to find S.T.A.L.K.E.R, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Anyway, here's the thing about S.T.A.L.K.E.R. There's a stalker that goes by this name. They say he's found a path to the northern reaches of the zone. That is a virgin area, a real gold mine for artifacts. Yeah. Anyway, I can help you find him. However, as you can imagine, it won't be a free ride. You'll have to work it off. But in the long run, we'll both benefit. You're going to waste that S.T.A.L.K.E.R fella and find out what happened to you, and I'll find... well, I mean, I'll get my share of our mutual profit. So what do you say? Deal?
Yeah, sure, go on.
Alright, listen. You mean business, I can see that. And I mean, we need guys like you. We're doing sort of an investigation with some other traders. We want to open up a path to the north, to the center of the zone. And near the center, something or someone is trying to hamper our progress. How the heck this S.T.A.L.K.E.R managed to sneak through, I don't know. You see, there's this one area where your brain starts boiling. An eerie place. Anyway, to cut a long story short, a couple of guys have been spying on those grunts for me, not far from here. Apparently the ones at the Agroprom Research Institute have dug up something major. I'm positive it has something to do with the center of the zone. Anyway, whatever they've dug up, it's secured somewhere on the 3rd floor of the Institute. And we really need this stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Once you have the briefcase, don't bring it here. Take it straight to the barman. He runs the Stalker bar at 100 rads. I'll upload the coordinates and all the data you need to your PDA. Clear?
Yeah, sure, got it. Right.
You'll need to go north through the garbage, then turn west. You'll end up at the Agroprom Research Institute after a few kilometers. And be careful, the radiation level is way too high at the garbage, so I suggest you invest in some anti-rad. Or some vodka. Well, good luck.
Right, see you around. Thanks, Sid. On the way to Agroprom, I decided to steal an MP5 from a corpse that was already dead. You saw nothing. I went to go meet with my contact before realising he'd been, compromised. Well, that's not good. I went along the main road before finding some stalkers and bandits fighting to the death. Of course, I decided to help the stalkers. I dispatched of the bandits and made my way closer to Agroprom. One thing about this game is that you can't walk 2 meters without going exhausted, and the second you are, it takes about 5 minutes to fully regain your stamina back, and yeah, you get to listen to his heavy breathing the whole time, which is lovely. But anyways, I made my way through the checkpoint before seeing some bandits mugging a stalker. I should probably go help him. Nah, not worth it. Eventually, we reached the lab to find a massive gunfight. It seemed that the military and a large group of stalkers were having a massive firefight. And to be honest with you, it wasn't really looking too good for the stalkers. I eventually decided to pull my thumb out my arse and help them out. But not before some shameless looting, of course. Went extremely well and we were able to push back the military with ease. I had saved Mole and pushed back the military. All that was left now was to get to Agroprom. I was hoping Mole had something to tell me, maybe a secret entrance or something like that.
Thank you, friend. You saved my life.
Oh, there we go.
That was too close. The grunts always carry their missions through. They've got to get out of here before the task force arrives. Come on. I'll show you the way.
Alright, thanks, mate. He showed me a manhole that would lead to Agroprom and we parted ways. Got down to the underground and equipped my weapon, knowing full well that there would be enemies. While there were many of them, I didn't have too much of a hassle trying to get rid of them. Eventually whittled the enemies down to just one. Me and him at point blank until I ran out of ammo. Good time to run out of ammo. What I love about this encounter is that it just really encapsulates how STALKER differentiates itself from any other game. I mean, you play any other game, and it cannot be this stressful to just fight another enemy. Especially when it's just a common grunt. Like that outlaw, he's just another outlaw. He's the same as any other. But under the right circumstances, this can be one of the most tense and brittle games there is. And, you know, it's just one of the many reasons why I love this game so much. Anyway, enough of me yapping, let's just get on to the video. I found some more soldiers and continued up. Of course, this is where I decided to try out the grenade for the first time. In hindsight, I could have just shot him, but, I don't know, it seemed more fun to just blow him up with a grenade instead. Yeah, I have very shit aim. It seemed like these soldiers were coming out of nowhere, like there was just some camo-painted clown car sitting around somewhere. I mean, it's ridiculous, how many of these guys are there? And then this is when I encountered one of the first mutants in the game. It's a very tense experience, but once you find out what its weakness is, it's really easy to kill it. Whilst they have no visible name, in the game's files they're called the controllers, and well, they do exactly that, they control you with their minds, but once you get close enough, they literally can't do anything to you. I realised it at the time, another way of killing them is to break their view of you, so if you just go around a corner and take pot shots, then they literally can't do anything, but as here, I just got as close as I could and killed him, because he literally can't do anything once you get within a couple meters of him. Oh, there we go. I managed to kill him. Ugh. Ugly fucker. Okay. Eventually I reached the light at the end of the tunnel. Literally. I found a manhole which would lead me up to the surface and the Agroprom research facility. So here we are in the Agroprom research facility, but to be honest, it's less of a research facility and more of an army barracks. There are soldiers everywhere and I gotta be careful. Making our way through the main yard, we get into a gunfight with these soldiers before just slipping into the building. We make our way up to the third floor to hopefully find these military documents. And after gunning down the last remaining soldiers, the documents are ours. Obviously, we still have to get out of the building, so that's a challenge in itself. But I won't show it because it literally took me half an hour. But yeah, I just went back to the manhole and made my way back through there. After getting to the surface, we make our way to basically the first full civilization we'll make contact in the whole game. It's called the Garbage, and basically the only two, like, worth your time parts of it are the main bar, which is where you're supposed to go to give this guy the military documents, and the arena. But I won't get into the arena, as we've already established, I am very bad at the combat, so I don't know. You can try. I'm definitely not going to. Anyway, after talking to the barkeep, I had a look round Garbage to check around. It seems the outpost is controlled by two main factions, a more militaristic, governmental system called Duty, while another is a more freedom, liberal, sort of junta called the Freedom Bandits. Throughout Garbage, you can hear Duty's speakerphones and propaganda, clearly enticing the stalkers to fighting whatever stupid war they have going on.
Stalker, protect the world from the zone. Join duty.
Now, before I get into the rest of the video, I first want to have a talk about the background behind the world of S.T.A.L.K.E.R. You see, as of the making of this video, over 38 years ago, the Chernobyl disaster occurred when the Chernobyl reactor, located in Pripyat, North Ukraine, failed and erupted, causing mass radiation, and I feel my knowledge can't do it justice. Throughout this video, I want you to keep in mind that the Chernobyl disaster was a real event. It actually happened. Real people died because of real negligence from real elites. You know, many people lost their lives, and many, many more had their lives ruined even before they were born. In the world of S.T.A.L.K.E.R, a second disaster in Chernobyl happened, causing even more radiation and even more deaths. The world of S.T.A.L.K.E.R is dark and gritty. It's horrific. It's unbelievable. But the worst part is that it is believable. You know, it actually happened. You know, sure, the second disaster didn't happen, but in the reality of it, Chernobyl did explode. The people did die. People were malformed, and they did go through these horrific experiences. And at the end of the day, the atmosphere, the horrific, gritty, brutal atmosphere of the whole game perfectly encapsulates just how, again, horrific the whole disaster was. If you want to learn more about the Chernobyl disaster, I extremely recommend the HBO show. It has extremely good acting, really good retelling, and the atmosphere itself just really, you know, emulates what it must have felt like to be there at the time. Before I get back to the video, I just want to leave a final note that the events of this game are based off real events. Real people died, real people suffered. And the reason I think, personally, that S.T.A.L.K.E.R does such an amazing job at displaying how horrific Chernobyl really was is just how disgusting the game is. I mean, I don't mean that in a derogatory way. The game is amazing of how disgusting it is. It's gritty, it's grimy. Even for the time it looked bad. It looks deep fried even, but it looks radioactive, you know. It's, you know, how harsh the game is, how hard the game is, shows how hard it was for the innocent people who died at Chernobyl. Anyways, now we need to go into Lab X18 for another set of documents. Before we can do that, we need to get a pair of keys from this guy called Borov, who's a gang outlaw leader, and in order to do that, we need to get into his stronghold, and you can either sneak in or go in guns blazing like a true patriot. I initially was going to do this stealthily, but we've already established my observation skills are far from perfect. In here, where I get spotted and they start shooting at me, but I just pretend they didn't shoot me, hoping to dear God that they'd also forget. Anyway, after killing Borov and taking the keys, we head to Lab X18, which, of course, is guarded by more fucking bandits. Anyways, eventually we make it to the door to the lab, which, luckily, and if you've been playing the game correctly, which I hope you have been, you should have the key which you took from Borov's warm corpse. Making our way down, we first see a dead soldier, showing that soldiers aren't the only danger that's going to be down here. Anyway, making our way further into the lab, we find a dead scientist with a code on him. But not before meeting a new kind of mutant. These things are called snorks. They're basically these crawling humans with gas masks on their faces. They're extremely fast and strong, and at least to me, extremely terrifying. Anyways, bringing the code to the door, it leads to a stairwell going further down to the basement. Exploring the lower level, we find a ominously open door leading to a new boss fight with another new type of mutant. These things are called pseudo-giants, and they're basically just mutant tanks. You can just cheese this boss fight by camping at the doorway and taking pot shots at them, but I didn't, so I don't know. Just better than everyone else once again. Anyway, heading back to the door, we have yet another new mutant encounter. That's the third new one this mission. Jesus Christ, chill the fuck out. But of the 3 new encounters, this one is by far the most difficult. But no matter how mentally capable they are, they're still susceptible to bullets, just like anyone else. Anyway, after taking him out, you fall on the ground and have a flashback about S.T.A.L.K.E.R. Anyway, after my power nap, I get up and get the documents ready to get the fuck out of here. More soldiers on my way up, but dispatch of them pretty easily. Anyways, we make our way back up to the service and get ready to make our way all the way back to the bar. Fuck my life. Of course, just my luck, when I get there, I realise that a side mission I did off camera caused the whole of duty to be antagonistic towards me, meaning if I needed to get back to the bar, I was going to kill every single one of them, which I did. One genocide later, I make it into the bar and I give him the documents.
So, Mark, good. The situation, it ain't simple.
So anyways, what he's trying to say here is that we need to go get another set of documents from another laboratory. Anyways, going through the bar, we make it to the Wild territory, a place controlled by basically these mercenary pricks who love to shoot anything that walks. Speaking of the mercenaries, we meet a couple of them when they try to stop me on my way to the lab. I, of course, am having none of it and treat them to a nice new face hole. Anyways, going further through the Wild territory, we find out that the mercenaries aren't actually here for shits and giggles. They're here to attack a group of scientists to try and steal their documents. I, of course, looking for the very same documents, decide I don't want some grubby mercenary hands all over them and decide to help the scientists. Taking care of the mercs and meeting with the head scientist, he offers to lead us to the main lab. This, of course, isn't going to be easy, and some more mercs show up. Moving on, we're ambushed by a couple of snorks, because of course we are. Anyway, we eventually get out of the Wild territory and make it towards Ianta. Making our way into the lab, we're introduced to a new enemy. These are called zombies because it's a nuclear fallout game. Of course there's going to be zombies. I mean, what did you expect? Anyways, dealing with these zombies, we move in to find the head scientist kind of just chilling out there, and we go to talk with his superior guy. So, talking with the doctor, he asks us to go with Krugov to take these radiation readings outside, because Krugov is too pussy to do it by himself. The doctor gives me a radiation suit and we step outside to see some zombies waiting for us. The thing about the zombies is that some of them use guns while the others just hobble towards you aimlessly. I'm not sure what the difference between them is. I think it's just like luck, like random generation. I don't know. Anyways, Krugov takes the measurements and they seem normal, so we move on. Getting to the other side of the tunnel, we can't really get a good signal, so we move a little further. Taking new readings, we find that blowout is imminent, and suddenly we're knocked unconscious.
Frank, we can't just leave him like that. Just leave him. There's nothing we can do for him. Blowout is minutes away and we won't get through with him.
No, Fang, I'm not leaving him.
After hearing some strange voices, we wake up to find Krugov is still alive, but he's not really in a good state. Krugov gets up and we make our way back to the lab to go give the doctor our readings. When we get the results back to the doctor, it's fair to say he's pretty surprised. I mean, it's not every day that radiation just randomly blows up like that. Despite that, the doctor has some good news. He's made this thing that can stop radiation, to a degree of course, but it'll be extremely useful getting some more documents.
You did an excellent job. If the measurements are correct, the prototype should provide you with maximum protection from emission. Stalker, now you will be able to break through to the laboratory, but unless you turn off the emitter, you won't last long even with the side protection on. We've estimated an approximate location of the emitter. It is located in an underground facility. I have marked the spot on your map. Vasilyev was working on the lab issue. About a week ago, he and a stalker called Ghost tried to get inside. A couple of hours later, we felt a major tremor, and after another hour, we picked up a signal from Vasilyev, coming from the swamp, but it died away. And Vasilyev died away with it, it would seem. Try to find his corpse. He had the exact information on the lab and the way to get into it. There may even be info on deactivating that source of the emission. I've uploaded you all the data we have. Hello? Hello?
Before we move on, let's talk about the PSI helmet. Basically, what this helmet does is it keeps us away from the radiation and keeps us safe so we don't end up looking like Walton Goggins, which we're definitely going to need for where we're going next. But before you get there, you have to make your way through a snork-infected swamp. And let's just say I didn't exactly have the nicest time here, and I'm not going to show it, because it's mainly just me screaming and praying to God. See that? I fucking hate snorks. Eventually, we make it to our destination, Lab X16. Filled with untold secrets and absolutely infested with zombies. In fact, the sheer amount of undead in this area caused it to probably be the most challenging part of the game so far. Minus the time I had to kill all of the bar because I aggroed duty, but we'll ignore that part. Anyways, after sneaking or shooting our way down to the underground lab, of course we find even more zombies. Even worse yet, we find many more snorks. What did I just say about snorks? I fucking hate them. They're the bane of my existence. Next, we eventually meet where we're supposed to be, where we have to flick 3 far apart switches before the timer runs out. This all took me an embarrassing amount of time to actually get right, but I'm not going to include that, for both your convenience and my dignity. Notice how I reload my gun 3 separate fucking times here? It's because in Stalker, if you try to shoot before the animation is over, it will reset the animation. That means, if I try to shoot an enemy who is charging at me at full speeds, even 1 second before the animation finishes, I will then have to restart the animation completely from the beginning. Anyway, managing to flick all three of the switches, we can go up to flick the fourth, proper switch. As we reach the panel, we can see a massive vat with a brain in it. And as we flick the switch, you can hear it scream in agony. For yet again, we fall unconscious and have another dream.
If this is so important, why didn't you explain what you are going there for? And where did you get this photo from? If you only knew where I've just been and what I saw. One day you'll finish badly, S.T.A.L.K.E.R. Hold on, son. You're going to make it. Where will you go now? To the north.
We don't know it yet, but that guy we just saw in the dream is called the Doctor. He must have been a friend or something to S.T.A.L.K.E.R, the guy we're trying to kill. He's also the person that saved our life. And from what we can gather, if we want to find anything, we're probably going to have to find this Doctor guy first. Anyways, we escape the lab through the sewage system, which is, of course, filled with an ungodly amount of snorks. I swear, this game has something against me personally, and it knows how much I fucking hate these things. Anyways, making it back to the surface, we lay witness to some sort of helicopter attack in the distance. We make our way back to the Doctor, and he seems pretty pleased with what we found, and he sends us on our way to the next big thing. Our next stop is Lab X16 to turn off the PSI emitter, so that, finally, we can get into the Chernobyl research facility. Before we get into Lab X16, we have to go through the Red Forest, a place absolutely crawling with monolith soldiers. I'm not even joking, this section made me want to gouge my eyes out and turn my PlayStation into a fucking omelette. Word of advice, before you go into this mission, for the love of God, get as much ammo as you could possibly need, and as much healing items as you could possibly need. Making it to the surface of the lab, it's also crawling with soldiers, but more importantly, it's crawling with, phantoms, I guess. It seems whatever the PSI emitter is being controlled by, some sort of entity, it's emitting these little weird phantom things to try and scare us in a last-ditch attempt to get us the fuck out, because it knows that we're soon to turn it off. Luckily, they do less damage than a stray gust of wind, but they are quite annoying when you're in a gunfight with 50 different soldiers and you've got these guys popping out of nowhere. As you can see, there's these massive antennae things up in the sky. And they're probably the things that are making the sky look like an episode of Breaking Bad set in Mexico. Oddly, when we actually make it down to the bunker itself, it's completely devoid of life. There's nothing here. There's no soldiers, there's no one. Which is what I thought before I saw a bloodsucker charging towards me. And just seconds later, there was another one. Luckily though, this was the last one, I think. Yeah, I remember so. Bloodsuckers or not, we had a mission and we had a reason to be here. We needed to find the control center to turn off the PSI emitter, so that, as I said earlier, we can finally get into the Chernobyl research facility and end this once and for all. One thing this section does excellently is building up tension. There's absolutely, well, apart from the two bloodsuckers, there's absolutely no enemies here. There's no soldiers. You'd think there was because of how many there were on the surface. And that builds up the tension. And as you'll find out in a minute, once we flip that switch, that tension is finally broke. Flipping the switch, you can take a guess what happens next. Correct, we have another dream. See that? That's my soul leaving my body. Because, as I said, the whole way in, the tension was building, because there's absolutely no enemies. You're thinking, hang on, why is there no enemies? So, on my way in, it was an absolute cakewalk. So on my way out, I was thinking, well, on the way in was a cakewalk, so of course the way out is going to be a cakewalk too. Until I realised that it was absolutely swarming with enemies, even more so than the surface. Again, for the love of God, make sure you have enough ammo, because I didn't and I had to scrounge bodies for ammo. This is by far the hardest part of the game so far, but don't worry, don't worry, it gets harder. Eventually, we make it out of the research facility and make our way to Pripyat. Once we reach Pripyat, we find some fellow stalkers trying to push back Monolith.
Trying to get to the center first to skim all the cream. Guess what?
Pushing forward, we reach an underground car park where the enemy are holed up. From here, we part ways and we're left on our own. Up ahead is swarming with rooftop snipers, ground soldiers, and snorks. This section is pretty difficult, and I personally recommend just running straight through it. From here, the only thing between us and Chernobyl is a massive marathon field filled with anomalies and mutants, and on the other side there's some monolith soldiers wielding rocket launchers. So, you know, nothing too excessive. Recommend you just take your time and pay attention, or else you will be stuck in a tornado and die. Anyways, look at this cool last kill I got. Anyways, epic gaming aside, we finally made it to Chernobyl. The soldiers here aren't exactly the friendliest. They have guns, they have helicopters, and they have a deep desire for your ass.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
I severely recommend just running past as many enemies as possible. They really aren't worth killing. You're definitely going to need to save up your ammo and health supplies for what's to come next. And a quick reminder to what I just said a minute ago, they have helicopters, and those helicopters will airstrike you, so just keep an eye out. And eventually, after an excruciating amount of running and gunning, we reach the sarcophagus. Welcome to the sarcophagus, the be-all end-all of the game. This is by far the hardest part yet. A mix of heavily armoured enemies, a lack of light or clear direction, and the consistent deadly radiation lead this section to make you want to quit. You want to give up, after everything, but despite that, you press on. Eventually, we enter a secret lab, and the steel door slams behind us. Without any other options, we destroy the mechanism in the middle of the room. This is the C consciousness, a crude amalgamation of the Soviet Union's finest minds, intended to help humanity into a better, more unified future. Created just before the second disaster at Chernobyl. Unfortunately, its existence inadvertently caused the second disaster. The C consciousness created the zone, but it claims that it's the only thing that can fix it and stop the spread of the zone. Additionally, we're hit with a very confusing revelation. We are S.T.A.L.K.E.R. This whole time we were sent on a wild goose chase to kill ourselves. Consciousness saw S.T.A.L.K.E.R, a legendary gunslinger, as a threat. So they manipulated his mind into giving him a mission to kill himself. But they wiped his memory so they didn't know that he was himself. Finally, they give you an offer to join them and stop the spread of the zone once and for all. Whether or not you believe them, that they can stop the spread, is up to you. So you join the C consciousness. The scientist boots you up to the machine and that's it. Yeah, you don't get anything, no answers. What happens in the future, we don't know. All we get is a scene of the doctor lamenting about S.T.A.L.K.E.R.
I haven't seen S.T.A.L.K.E.R in a long time. Is he dead already? Although he's hardy as a cat, he should be okay, I think. But well, let's leave this place, pal. Let's have some dinner. I know that you're more interested in that than our old friend.
You're probably thinking that this ending is pretty unsatisfying, right? Okay, say you don't join the C consciousness, what then? Well, saying no to the C consciousness, you're teleported outside. And, with tremors going on, enemies everywhere, and odd portals, get one final battle. One bloody skirmish to end them all. Sure hope you're stocked up, because, once again, this is pretty hard. They didn't cheap out on this battle either. There's enemies at every turn. You can't aim for shit because of the tremors. And you already know there is no forgiveness. Not going to go easy on you, especially not at the end of the game. So, you make it out. After everything, what do you get? S.T.A.L.K.E.R destroys the C consciousness. Ending this madness once and for all. To be fair to you, this ending isn't infinitely more satisfying than the last, but it's something. At least we know what happens. S.T.A.L.K.E.R makes it out.
I don't know whether I was right or wrong. I guess I'll never know. But I made it. And I guess I should be thankful for that.
STALKER is a brilliant game. Highly recommend it. While the gunplay might not be perfect, while the audio might not be the best, while the graphics might look like absolute shit, it's still a brilliant game. You should go play it. Despite the fact you now know how it ends, it's still worth playing. That is, if you can actually get through it. It's a very difficult game, I can't stress that enough. I almost quit about 50 different times. In case I haven't thanked you already, thank you all so much for watching. This is a different video to the type of videos I usually make, and I really hope it does well, because if so, then I'll keep doing videos like this, because I like making videos like this. If you did in fact like the video, then please leave a like, subscribe, and keep in touch for the next one. I wonder where I'm going to go on holiday next. Maybe Georgia? Okay, maybe not Georgia. What about Belgium? Okay, you know what? Maybe I'll just go back home.